Your brain doesn't want to see you happy. He wants to keep you safe. Have you ever noticed how, sometimes, you're the only person who stands in your own way? Like, everything starts to work out, an opportunity arises, a relationship, a breakthrough, and suddenly something inside you pulls the brakes. It doesn't make sense at first glance, but the truth is that self-sabotage is not a lack of strength. It's a mechanism deeply rooted in your nervous system. And hey race, the most intriguing part, you're not sabotaging yourself because you want to fail. Quite the opposite. Your survival instinct may be trying to protect you from something that, back then, was interpreted as dangerous. It may have been an emotional trauma, a rejection, an unstable environment. And now, even though everything is different, your unconscious patterns continue to rotate as if nothing has changed. This explains why anxiety appears when everything is fine, why peace seems strange, and why you, without realizing it, always go back to the same cycles. But what if I told you that this can be reprogrammed? That through emotional awareness and neuroplasticity, it is possible to train your brain to stop fighting you and start working in your favor? Because deep down, understanding the psychology behind self-sabotage is not about judging yourself. It's about finally taking control of your own story. And what you will discover from here can completely change the way you see your behaviors and, especially, your possibilities. You know that moment when everything starts to work out, and suddenly you freeze? Well, this is not a lack of capacity, it is self-sabotage acting behind the scenes. Your nervous system, accustomed to chaos, interprets success as something strange, almost dangerous. It's as if your survival instinct says calm down. That's too good to be true. And without realizing it, you start to retreat just when you should be moving forward. This happens because there are unconscious patterns running on automatic, often shaped by some emotional trauma back there. Your brain doesn't differentiate very well between what's new and what's dangerous. It just wants to keep you safe, even if it means keeping you small. Anxiety appears disguised as prudence, and you begin to doubt yourself, as if you don't deserve what you've achieved. Now, let me give you a practical example. Have you noticed how some people procrastinate just when a great opportunity arises? They stall, avoid, make excuses. This is self-sabotage protecting an old identity. But hey race, a simple first step of emotional awareness when you feel this stuck: don't run away. Stop and ask yourself, this is real fear? Or is it my past trying to control me? This short pause already begins to activate your mental reprogramming and makes room for what comes next. Now tell me sincerely, when everything is too calm, you can relax? Or are you already starting to find it strange? Many people who live in self-sabotage feel that peace is almost suspect. The nervous system becomes restless, as if it is expecting something to go wrong at any moment. This is because, deep down, your body has learned that tranquility doesn't last and that it's best to be alert. This constant state of vigilance has everything to do with emotional trauma and unconscious patterns that have been reinforced over time. If at some point in your life happiness has been accompanied by pain, your brain creates a dangerous association. If it's good now, soon it will get worse. Enter anxiety, which doesn't let you enjoy the present, always pulling your mind to an imaginary future full of threat. A simple exercise to start breaking this: when everything is fine, instead of looking for trouble, train your emotional awareness. Notice the environment, your body, your breathing. It may sound basic, but it activates neuroplasticity and teaches your brain that safety can also be real. At first it even gives a certain discomfort, like not touching your cell phone for 5 minutes, but that's exactly when your emotional healing begins. And that sets the stage for the next level of this journey. Now we start to touch on a more sensitive point but essential. Many patterns of self-sabotage were not born yesterday. They started way back, in childhood. If you grew up in an unstable environment full of ups and downs, your nervous system has learned to live on constant alert. It wasn't trauma, it was adaptation. His survival instinct was just doing its job. Imagine a child who never knows if he will receive affection or criticism. Her brain begins to associate safety with unpredictability. It seems contradictory, but it makes sense within that context. This type of emotional trauma creates deep unconscious patterns, where what is calm feels strange and chaos feels familiar. And then, in adulthood, you replicate this without realizing it, as if you were following an invisible script. But hey, race, an important point: understanding this is not to blame the past, it's to regain control. A practical exercise? Start observing their disproportionate reactions. Simple situations that generate a lot of anxiety can be echoes of this phase. When you identify this, you're already activating your emotional awareness, and that's the first real step toward mental reprogramming and emotional healing. And believe me, this connects directly with how your brain has been conditioned over time. Now that you understand the origin, it is easier to see how all this has become an automatic pattern. Your brain is a machine of associations, and emotional conditioning happens when repeated experiences shape your responses. Whether love came along with pain, rejection, or instability, your system creates a direct connection between these elements. And then, without realizing it, self-sabotage comes into play as a form of protection. This is because the nervous system is not concerned with happiness, it wants predictability. Then, it activates unconscious patterns that take you back to what's familiar, even if it's uncomfortable. It's as if your brain says, "I already know this kind of suffering, I know how to deal with it." This type of emotional attachment to what hurts maintains repetitive cycles, fueling anxiety and hindering healthier relationships. Now, look at this in practice. Have you ever seen someone who only gets involved with emotionally unavailable people? It's not bad luck, it's standard. To start changing, you need to break this cycle with emotional awareness. A simple exercise: when you feel intense attraction to someone, ask yourself, is this connection or familiarity? This type of reflection activates neuroplasticity and initiates a real process of mental reprogramming. And that brings us straight to the next point: the role of fear in your brain. Now let's talk about a small part of the brain that has a giant impact on your life: the amygdala. It is responsible for detecting threats and activating your survival instinct. The problem is that when there is emotional trauma, this alarm center becomes too sensitive. Result? Your nervous system begins to react to the new, including good things, as if it were danger. That's why, many times, peace bothers you. It sounds strange, but it makes sense. If you've spent a lot of time on alert, your brain has become accustomed to this state. Then, when everything is calm, the amygdala interprets it as something suspicious. Anxiety kicks in, creating thoughts like "this won't last" or "something bad will happen." And here comes the self-sabotage, just to confirm this expectation. A practical way to start regulating this is to work the body, not just the mind. Simple techniques such as slow breathing, guided meditation, or even physical exercises help calm the nervous system. This strengthens your emotional awareness and reduces automatic reactivity. Over time, thanks to neuroplasticity, your brain learns that not everything is a threat. And when that starts to change, their relationships also begin to reveal interesting patterns. Now we enter a territory where all this is even more visible: relationships. Your emotional attachment patterns are pretty much a direct reflection of your unconscious patterns. If love was inconsistent back then, your nervous system may associate closeness with risk. Result? Do you want to connect? But, at the same time, he feels like running away. This internal conflict generates classic cycles of self-sabotage: approaching, getting involved, feeling something deeper. And then he walks away. Sometimes, you make excuses, find fault, or simply cool down. It's not a lack of feeling, it's his survival instinct trying to avoid a pain he believes is inevitable. And of course, anxiety comes in as fuel, making everything even more intense and confusing. A practical step here is to observe your patterns in relationships without judging yourself. Start to identify: do you tend to pull away when someone gets too close? Or do you quickly get attached to those who are not available? This emotional awareness is already starting to break the cycle. And if you want to go deeper, a book like Attached by Attached can open your mind a lot. This kind of understanding accelerates your mental reprogramming. And it prepares you to realize something curious: why does chaos, deep down, still seem so comfortable? Now comes a truth that many people avoid facing sometimes: you don't choose chaos. You recognize him. When your nervous system has spent years adapted to unstable environments, the suffering is no longer just pain, it becomes familiar. And that's where self-sabotage gains strength, because the unknown, even if it's good, seems more threatening than what already hurts, but you know how to deal with it. This creates what many people call comfortable pain. It seems contradictory, but it makes perfect sense within your unconscious patterns. Your survival instinct prefers something predictable, even if it's bad, than to take a chance on something new. Therefore, you may end up repeating cycles, returning to exhausting situations, or even creating problems where there are none. All of this is fueled by an emotional attachment to what is already known. To start breaking this, you need to expand your concept of security. A simple exercise: when you feel like going back to an old pattern, pause and observe: this is really comfortable? Or just family? This question activates your emotional awareness and begins to train your mind for new possibilities. And with neuroplasticity, your brain can learn to feel safe in what once seemed strange. But it raises an important question: who have you become in the midst of all this? After so much time adapting, you didn't just create patterns. You built an identity on top of them. Many people who live in self-sabotage develop masks to deal with the world. On the outside, it seems that everything is fine, confident, resolved, even a bit thick-skinned. But inside, the nervous system still operates on alert, guided by old unconscious patterns. These masks didn't come out of nowhere, they were essential at some point. Maybe you had to appear strong, independent, or even indifferent to survive some emotional trauma. But the problem is that this version starts to limit you. You start to act according to who you have learned to be, and not who you really are. And then, self-sabotage appears again, protecting an identity that no longer makes sense. An important step here is to start questioning your own story. Who would you be without this constant need for protection? Writing exercises help a lot with this, like writing down situations where you pretend to be okay and what you're really feeling. This strengthens your emotional awareness and makes room for emotional healing and mental reprogramming. Because when the mask starts to fall, you notice something even deeper. Perhaps there's even a certain addiction to this internal state. Now we enter a point that usually surprises: the body can, indeed, become addicted to certain emotional states. When you spend too much time on alert, your nervous system begins to associate intensity with normalcy. Calm situations seem dull, while chaos activates a kind of internal connection. This is where self-sabotage gains a chemical fuel, fueled by old unconscious patterns. This happens because moments of tension release substances that, in a way, make you more connected. Here comes that strange feeling of only feeling alive when you have a problem to solve. Anxiety becomes almost a default state, and your survival instinct keeps this cycle active. It's not that you like to suffer, it's that your body has learned to function that way, especially if there's been repetitive emotional trauma. To start changing this, you need to introduce new forms of stimulation that are not tied to chaos. Physical exercise, healthy challenges, even learning something new already helps to redirect this energy. A simple habit: replace moments of overthinking with practical action, even if small. This activates neuroplasticity and begins your mental reprogramming. Over time, your body learns that it doesn't need conflict to feel alive. But then another layer emerges. What about when you yourself start to cause the fall? Now we come to a delicate but extremely real point. Sometimes, self-sabotage is not just a mistake. It's a strategy. It may seem strange, but when you've been through a lot of emotional trauma, losing control scares you more than self-destructing. Then your nervous system, guided by the survival instinct, thinks, better to cause the pain than to be caught off guard by it. This explains why some people sabotage relationships, opportunities, or even their own evolution. It is an unconscious way of anticipating pain, of keeping everything within a predictable control. These unconscious patterns cause you to hit the self-destruct button before something external does it. And of course, anxiety fuels this behavior, creating negative scenarios that seem inevitable. But hey, a key point: noticing this pattern is already a game changer. When you identify this impulse, you can pause and choose differently. A simple exercise: when you feel like giving up or ruining something that is going well, ask this as a choice or an automatic reaction. This question activates your emotional awareness and makes room for mental reprogramming. And it is exactly at this moment that the turning point begins, because consciousness is the beginning of everything. Now we get to the point where everything starts to turn the tide: awareness. While you are on automatic, self-sabotage rules. But the moment you start to see your unconscious patterns, something changes. It's like turning on the light in a dark room. What once controlled you without you realizing it, now begins to lose strength. And this is already a huge advance in the emotional healing process. Many people have a key moment where that question arises: what happened to me? And look. This question is a powerful one. It takes the focus off guilt and leads to understanding. You begin to realize how emotional trauma, the nervous system, and the survival instinct have shaped your reactions. Anxiety is no longer an invisible enemy and becomes a sign, a warning that something inside you needs attention. A practical step here is to start recording your standards. It can be in a notebook or even in the notepad of the cell phone. Write down situations in which you perceive self-sabotage happening, what you felt, what you thought, how you reacted. This greatly strengthens your emotional awareness and accelerates your mental reprogramming, and little by little, you stop being hostage to your reactions. To become someone who chooses to, and that's exactly what paves the way for real change. Now, we get into the part that everyone wants but few really understand: real change. Emotional healing doesn't happen overnight, and it's not about thinking positive all the time. That happens when you start teaching your nervous system that it's safe to live without chaos, and this requires repetition, patience, and, above all, emotional awareness. This is where neuroplasticity comes in, which is nothing more than your brain's ability to reorganize itself. Each time you react differently to old triggers, you weaken old unconscious patterns and strengthen new paths. Mental reprogramming happens in small choices: not running away from a difficult conversation, not sabotaging an opportunity, allowing yourself to feel something good without expecting the worst. A practical example to start today: create microsecurity habits. It could be something as simple as sticking to a basic routine, practicing mindful breathing, or even repeating affirmations that reinforce your new identity. Books like The Body Keeps the Marks from The Body Keeps the Score help a lot to deepen this process. And over time, you realize something powerful: your survival instinct stops fighting you and begins to work in his favor. And that's where true post-traumatic growth is born. Now tell me, how many times have you found yourself repeating the same patterns, even though you knew it didn't get you where you wanted to go? Self-sabotage is not a defect of yours, it is a sign, a reflection of their nervous system, their unconscious patterns, and everything that was once necessary for their survival. But the big turning point happens when you stop reacting on automatic and start acting with emotional awareness. Along this journey, you've realized that anxiety, emotional attachment, and even fear of happiness have deeper roots, often linked to emotional trauma and your survival instinct. but you also saw that there's a way, and it goes through neuroplasticity, mental reprogramming, and building a new relationship with yourself. The question now is not why am I like this, but rather what do I choose to do with it from today on. So I leave you with some reflections. You will keep repeating the same cycles, or will it start to interrupt them? You'll rely only on what's familiar, or allow yourself to build something new, and, above all, how long will you let your past decide your future? If this content made sense to you, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications, because here we don't just talk about understanding the mind, we talk about really transforming your life. And in the next video, you might discover something that maybe no one has ever explained to you about yourself.